Oh, hello, I'm Burt Green, this is the Burt Locker, and this is going to be a very quick one this week, recapping the events of UFC Vegas 74, and also recapping the first episode of The Ultimate Fighter, obviously featuring Conor McGregor and Raymond Chandler? Raymond Chandler's an actor. Michael Chandler, god damn it. Anyway, this is just, in a nutshell, a very fast, fun, light-hearted MMA-themed show. I do other things as well, but this particular one is just focused on MMA. So, let's get cracking. UFC Vegas 74, honestly, it was a really fun event. If you hadn't had a chance to watch it, there are about to be a lot of spoilers, so don't watch this. Go back and watch the fights. It really was a very fun night of fights, but I'll tell you the ones to look out for right now. So you had Reed versus Frey. Again, we had a couple of dodgy decisions, I thought. This was one of them. I really thought that Frey won that. I had at least 2 rounds up, if not 3. And Reed looked stunned when they read out that she was the winner. So I don't know about that, because, okay, they score damage. Like the scoring criteria is damage and impact. Well, they call it impact. That's the first kind of primary scoring factor. That and cumulative strikes, things like that. It's very difficult to then get down to the second and third tiers of what they score these days, because they did change it relatively recently. So damage is a big factor. Now, Reed did damage Frey like a really big mouse on her head in the first round, but you can't then count that in the second and third as well, because the damage wasn't sustained then. If she didn't inflict damage at all, like after that point, but just because someone's cut, surely that cut, then just because it keeps bleeding, can't then count as damage for the second and third round as well, can it? I mean, I don't know, but maybe it does. Maybe you should try and cut your opponent early. That's probably a good strategy. Then you had Naimov against Malaki. I didn't think he was going to beat Malaki. I thought Malaki would be too much for him, honestly, because that was a last-minute opponent change as well. Malaki was supposed to be fighting this beast out of Georgia, but he must have pulled out. Anyway, this guy is from Kyrgyzstan, and they showed a clip of basically a full soccer stadium full of people watching the fights on a big screen at 4 o'clock in the morning in Kyrgyzstan. Awesome, man. That's the next fan base they're going to try and tap into, isn't it? And he got a huge knockout over Jay Malaki. Go and check that one out. It was nice. Jay Malaki's good as well, so that's kind of an important one. Yeah, really good start for him. Castaneda against Gurfarov. Brilliant fight. The right man won. Back and forth, but it was, really fantastic fight. You should go back and watch that one. It's always sad to see. Andrei Arlovski fought Don'Tale Mayes. The guy is famous for trying to hump Josh Parisian. He tried to hump him unconscious with his cup. That's how I know Don'Tale Mayes anyway. But now he might be known for knocking out Andrei Arlovski, because Andrei Arlovski, he's the benchmark. He's a gatekeeper, and he's a tough opponent for anyone. He's been going a long time, and it's really hard to see him get knocked out like that. It really is. But you know what? Fair play, Don'Tale Mayes. He did a very good job. He didn't have it all his own way as well. He did have to really start kind of putting things together. He was, also Daniel Santos. I thought his nickname was Willy Cat, and I thought maybe it was supposed to be Wily Cat, but no, it is Willy Cat. Literally, that's what they call him. I don't know what that means. It sounds weird, sounds funny to me. I think a Wily Cat would be more than a Willy Cat. I don't know. Either way, Bruce Buffer sounded great saying it. Also, he looked okay in his win. Under the current scoring system, Dos Santos, he beat Nurmagomedov. You had Dos Santos, Elisiel, I forget his full name, but Dos Santos anyway. The Capoeira Muay Thai guy, fantastic, so good. Great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. Nurmagomedov, he looked weird. He was throwing a hissy fit at the end, because there was a knee that landed on the bell, but then he started like swinging at Dos Santos because he was just upset. I think he was upset because he knew that he'd lost. I thought that it was a tremendous performance from Dos Santos, and just because your last name is Nurmagomedov and you are a relation to Khabib doesn't mean that you're going to be having it all your own way. Maybe it's why guys like Khabib never went up to welterweight, because those guys they're a bit more physical, aren't they? And we saw that with Dos Santos. Very physical, very fun to watch. Keep an eye on him. Karine Silva is an absolute monster. I called it. Well, I thought she was going to get the knockout. She didn't. She got a heel hook, kind of half heel hook, half knee bar, popped her opponent's knee right out. It was disgusting, but also you got to remember that women's MMA, it's about 15 years behind men's MMA. Just with the greatest respect, that's kind of where it's at. And you look about 15 years ago, the Brazilians just dominated everything, and that's what we're seeing now. Obviously we've got Amanda Nunes as the champion, and we've got Karine Silva, who's on the way up, and she is all finishes. She is an absolute beast. Keep an eye for her because she is so much fun to watch. Really, really good. Tim Elliott made easy work of his opponent. That's it. Jim Miller, 42 fights in, scores his fastest ever knockout. What an absolute legend of the sport. Highlight reel KO. He's just killing these kids, man. They should call him John Wayne Gacy because he keeps killing these kids. No? Too much? Anyway, Kai Kara France. Nope, I skipped over one of the best fights on the card, so I'm not going to do that. Alex Caceres versus Pineda. Wow, what an incredible fight. Go back and watch that. If you're going to watch one fight on this card, Caceres versus Pineda, wow. My jaw was open, like most of the fight. Fantastic. Back and forth. You had the grappling, you had the wrestling, you had the striking, you had it all. Body shots, head kicks, elbows, blood, just literally everything. You had close submissions, you had like transitions on the ground. It was so good. It was so good. If I was gonna introduce somebody to MMA, I might show them that fight because it had elements of literally everything, and it was high level, high impact, fun. Just super, super fun. Go and watch that fight. That is all. I won't even tell you who wins that one because I don't want to spoil it for you. Just go and watch it. Have fun. Enjoy it. Anyway, Kai Kara France against Albazi. Very technical fight. Albazi got a very close choke in round number 3, but it does show you, actually, when you go and watch that choke, your chest has to be square with their back if you're going for that rear naked choke, because any kind of angle, and some guys are very difficult to choke. I know that from experience. Like, they're very difficult. Like, just the slightest angle gives them a little bit to breathe, gets enough blood through, and they're gonna survive the choke, and they're gonna find a way out. You'll gas your arms out. So that's the important one to note. When you look at that submission attempt in round 3, when I was looking at that, I was like, he's not got that, not because the angle was off. It was just the angle was slightly off. Gave Kai Kara France just enough room to get some breath. I don't know about that decision. I don't know, man. Because under the current scoring system, it's supposed to be impact, what you're actually doing with these takedowns. And I don't think, yeah, okay, Albazi was walking forward a lot, but he wasn't doing that much. Not really. Kai Kara France was landing all the strikes, and even with the takedowns, apart from in round 3, Albazi didn't do much with them. So, I don't know about that decision, guys. Again, that was another poor decision, I thought. Anyways, that was a recap of UFC Vegas 74 in a nutshell. We're going to be moving on to my first assessment of the Ultimate Fighter, the new series. Before then, can you do me a favour? Hit subscribe. Really appreciate that. If you enjoy the content, or even if you don't, hit subscribe. Don't care. Just, could you hit subscribe? Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyway, the Ultimate Fighter, McGregor vs Chandler, episode 1. This is one that I am going to be tuning into because, let's face it, it is fun. It's all McGregor. If nothing else, he is entertainment. He is entertainment personified. I even watched that Forever McGregor thing on Netflix. I've only watched episode 1 of that so far, but actually, as much as I hate to say it, he becomes much more likeable when you see him behind the scenes. When you see the act kind of drop down a little bit, and he's done a lot for the sport. Let's face it, when he says, this is my game forever, he's not far wrong, is he? He's spitting facts, honestly. So yeah, you got first off, I didn't realise the format. The format of this new Ultimate Fighter show, it's a little bit different, so it might intrigue you into watching it because it certainly intrigued me. So you've got the 135 pounders and 155 pounders, but you've got 2 groups of each. You've got UFC veterans, i.e. people that have been cut from the UFC, and you've got the young prospects. Very interesting. They haven't done that in a while, to be fair. One of the vets, I might add, is Jason Knight. Some of you might know him as Hick Diaz, someone who I'm a huge fan of. He talks a lot of shit. He walks people down. He just punches. He is like I said, he's a lightweight Diaz. That's why, and he's from Missouri, I think. He has those kind of country mannerisms, let's say. So he did earn the moniker Hick Diaz, which is a fun nickname if nothing else. Anyway, he's back in. He went to bare knuckle boxing for a bit and did pretty well, actually, because he just that style lends himself to him. And he's going to be a fun one to watch. But yeah, anyway, in this format, rather than having fight picks, they rank their fighters and then they pair them up in a ranking kind of order in a tournament. It's interesting. I quite like it, but I also quite enjoyed the kind of jeopardy of the fight picks. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what the reason is they steered away from that for this one, because I would have thought that you'd want as much McGregor on the screen as possible, and having the fight picks adds that element. So interesting way, but it is interesting to watch. It is fun. The first fight was very good. Lots of high impact stuff in there. You had Roosevelt, who I do remember from his tenure, quite big for 155. But yeah, he's in the first fight against a prospect that I've not heard of, with the greatest of respect, because they are prospects. It's well worth tuning into. I do love some of the videos, because it's just like on one of the stare downs, one of the prospects was like looking away from the guy, whilst the other guy was like the veteran was like right in his face, and the veteran was like the stare down, he didn't want to be there, he didn't want to be standing in front of me, I could see it, I saw through his soul. It's like, no, look at the state of you, mate. Like your lips are all chapped, you look fucking old as shit, you look like you've been on a lot of crack, you look unstable, you smell worse, most likely. I don't think I'd want to stand in front of you either, or stand close to you. I don't think it's necessarily because he thought you were super hard. You probably just freaked him out because you look like a crazed homeless guy. Christ almighty, dude. Have a shower. Clean yourself up. What are you doing? But yeah, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how that fight pans out. But it's really fun show, fun watch. I'd recommend it if you get Fight Pass. No reason not to watch it. It's something else just to have on the box. And as I say, McGregor, he's always entertaining. Troll of the week this week. I've only found one. It's the only one that made me giggle, honestly. There's a few going around, but I was just like, that's shit. This one's not exactly the best one, but it's like John Jones, because at first I think what got me is because at first I thought it was like a breaking news, like a fight announcement for John Jones. And I was like, you got me, because actually it says John Jones, breaking news. John Jones declares that he has been sober for 12 minutes. It's like, yeah. To be fair, make fun of him all you want. He's still the greatest of all time. Still the best to ever put on gloves. He's an absolute monster. Look, he's had his demons. Even going through those demons, he has beaten the best that the world has to offer in terms of mixed martial arts. He's beaten all of your heroes. Every last one of them. And it doesn't look, the steroid doesn't even matter. People say, he was on steroids. Yeah, back then, so was everybody else. And he tested positive one time for a really negligible amount. Am I saying that he didn't cheat? I don't know. Like, where there's smoke, there's fire, I guess. But doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference to his legacy. It really doesn't. You look at all those guys that he beat, all those heroes, all those legends. He just decimated every last one of them. And then he goes up to heavyweight and decimates the number one contender heavyweight in the world. Do you know what I mean? So I'd be interested in the Francis fight, but honestly, I think Jones probably beats him in a similar way. Yeah. Anyways, that's all I've got time for this week. I'm going to be doing a casuals guide, obviously, to UFC, what was it, 289? It's the one headlined by Amanda Nunes and Aldana. Not the greatest headliner in the world. I'm far more interested in the co-main event, honestly, between Oliveira and Dariush. Heart's going to get broken. Either way that goes, going to be broken-hearted. But that's the fight game. And so if you could do me a favour, hit subscribe if you've enjoyed this content. And until next time, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.